Hey, well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to Environmental Coffee House. I am your host, Sandy Schoelles, and Jennifer Hynes is back from her much needed hiatus. Hello,
Yeah.
Jennifer. Welcome back.
Hello. Good to see you. Good to see everybody tonight. Hope everybody's doing good.
It's great. So, what's been
we
going
have a
on, Chickie?
we have a jam-packed show here today, guys, and
Yes,
it's going
we
to be
do.
pretty interesting. We're getting back to our roots for sure.
Yeah.
We're going to open up with an article from ARS Technica. NASA scientists on 2023 temperatures were frankly astonished,
Shocked. Yeah. Yeah.
shocked, and on and on.
And on and on.
Then we're going over to CNN. This may be the final nail in the coffin for a winter like no other. Ugh.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And sorry. Oh,
It's okay.
let me see if I can go back. I just lost the. Oh, here's the Guardian. Then we have the Guardian. February on course to break unprecedented number of heat records. So that just out. What's coming our way soon, or what has come our way. And we're going to take a little look at sudden stratospheric warming and then end up with an article from the New York Times. 2024 begins with more record heat worldwide. So, guys, hang on because this is where we're going tonight. So, how are you doing, Sandy? How's it going?
I am good. I'm
Mm-hmm.
busy. Very busy. The growing season's going to start.
Oh, good.
And so I already started seeds and oh my God, with these cats and it's like one is in hospice. Other than that, things are fine and here we are, Jennifer, and I'm just happy that you're back with me. I missed you.
Oh, well, I
And we
missed you
really,
too.
we really do have we have one of these shows tonight that when you look at all these articles and they are from the mainstream media,
Hmm.
but when you collate them and you put them together and you realize, holy crap, it's a little disconcerting when you put everything together.
It is. It is. It
Yeah.
is.
So we're going to
And
move on over to the reading overlay and
yeah,
get these articles up because
get
we
them
want to get
going.
started, guys. And frankly, we're going to use some of these articles because they're very good. So,
Hmm.
Jen, you take it away.
All right, guys. So this one, NASA scientists on 2023 temperatures were frankly astonished. NASA, NOAA, and Berkeley Earth have released their takes on 2023's record heat. So before we dive into it, Sandy, I want to take a little bit of a look at this map with
Mm-hmm.
these basically anomalous heat. You can either see record coldest, of which there is none, that's bright blue, all the way to record warmest, which is bright red. So let's take a look at where things are heating up. And I want to start over on Africa because there's actually a big circle right around the Sahara. And basically, what you can see is the Red Sea, the Persian Gulf, the Caspian Sea, the Black Sea, the Mediterranean, and all of the eastern Atlantic is record hot. And that goes all the way up the coast of Ireland and England. So that's just right there in the middle of the map. Now, one thing that's kind of interesting to note, do you see that kind of medium blue on the bottom? That's cooler than average, right? Much cooler than average for the deeper medium blue. And the reason that is because Antarctica ice sheet is melting at record speed, and all that water is getting dumped out into the ocean, the global ocean, and it's turning that ocean much colder than usual. So that is why it's much colder than usual. That's ice melt. So, pretty interesting to see what's going on the Earth. So, let's dive on in, guys. Earlier this week, the European Union's Earth Science team came out with its analysis of 2023's global temperatures, finding it was the warmest year on record to date. In an era of global warming, that's not especially surprising. What was unusual was how 2023 set its record every month from June on, coming in far above any equivalent month in the past, and the size of the gap between 2023 and any previous year on record. So it's how fast it's pulled away that's shocking, right? The Copernicus dataset used for that analysis isn't the only one of the sort. And on Friday, Berkeley Earth, NASA, and the National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administration all released equivalent reports. And all of them largely agree with the EU's. 2023 was a record and an unusual one at that. So unusual that NASA's chief climate scientist, Gavin Schmidt, introduced his look at 2023 by saying, "We're frankly astonished." Despite the overlaps with the earlier analysis, each of the three new ones adds some details that flesh out what made last year so unusual. Each of the three analyses uses a slightly different method to do things like fill in areas of the globe where records are sparse and uses different baseline. Berkeley Earth was the only team to do comparison with pre-industrial temperatures, using a baseline of 1850 to 1900 temperatures. Its analysis suggests that this is the first year to finish over 1.5 degrees C above pre-industrial temperatures. That's right. That's right. Most countries have committed to an attempt to keep temperatures from consistently coming in above that point. So, at 1 year, we're far from consistently failing our goals, but there's every reason to suspect we're going to see several more years exceeding this point before the decade is out. And that clearly means we have a very short time frame before we get carbon emissions to drop, or we'll commit to facing a difficult struggle to get the temperatures back under this threshold by the end of the century. Berkeley Earth also noted that the warming was extremely widespread. It estimates that nearly a third of the Earth's population lived in a region that set a local heat record, and 77 nations saw 2023 set a national record. So, this is kind of interesting. This chart below, these are
Mm-hmm.
factors contributing to global temperature change in the last 10 years. And you can see that they've got all of these different measurements, but the one that is consistently affecting the global temperature change is man made global warming. La Nina and El Nino is cyclical. As you can see, the solar cycle is cyclical. High uncertainty, like the Hunga Tonga eruption, that's kind of, once in a while. And marine fuel pollution reduction did give it a bit of an uptick, but nothing
A little
compared.
uptick.
A little bit of an
Yeah.
uptick, not much, because people make too much of a deal out of that, it seems. But look at this man made global warming. That's the thing that's really driving this whole engine.
Oh, yes, that is the big one.
That's the big one.
Yeah, it gets the record. It gets the applause.
There you go. The Berkeley team also had a nice graph laying out the influences of different factors on recent warming. Greenhouse gases are obviously the strongest and most consistent factor, but there are weaker short term influences as well, such as El Nino, La Nina oscillation,
Mm-hmm.
and the solar cycle. Berkeley Earth and EU's Copernicus also noted that an international agreement caused sulfur emissions from shipping to drop by about 85% in 2020, which would reduce the amount of sunlight scattered back out into space from the sulfur emissions. Finally, the EU team, they note that the Hunga Tonga eruption was an event. So an El Nino unlike any other. A
Yeah.
shift from La Nina to El Nino conditions in late spring is highlighted by everyone looking at this year, as El Ninos tend to drive up global temperatures upward. Well, it has the potential to develop into a strong El Nino in 2024. At the moment, it's pretty mild. So, why are we seeing record temperatures? We're not entirely sure. The El Ninos we've seen is not an exceptional one, said NASA's Schmidt. So he reasoned either this El Nino is different from all of them or there are other factors going on. But he was a bit of a loss to identify the factors. He said that typically there are a limited number of stories that keep choosing from in order to explain a given year's behavior, but for 2023, none of them really fit. And look at this North
Oh
Atlantic
yeah.
temperatures, June to October. And this is a
Up, up.
graphic that started at
Six,
1850 or so, it looked like.
1860.
You can
Yeah.
see.
Oh yeah.
And then look what has happened in the last year when we hit 2023. It's straight
Way
up,
up. It's
way up.
scary
It's scary. It's very, very
to those
scary
of us
indeed.
who know what this is. There's a lot
Yeah.
of people who would look at this and not have a clue, and that's why we want to educate people.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
So, Berkeley Earth had a great example of it in its graph of the North Atlantic sea surface temperatures, which have been rising slowly for decades until 2023 saw record temperatures with freakishly large gap compared to anything else previously on record. There's nothing especially obvious to explain that. Lurking in the background of all of this climate is climate scientist Jane Hansen's argument that we're about to enter a new regime of global warming where the temperatures increase at a much faster pace than they have until now.
Mm.
Most climate scientists don't see compelling evidence for that yet. And with El Nino conditions likely to prevail much of 2024, we can expect a very hot year again, regardless of changing trends. So it may take several more years to determine if 2023 was a one off freak or a new sign of new trends.
Uh, I I would go with sign of new trends.
Yeah, I would
I mean,
too.
come on. Everything we see, Jennifer, how could that be
Yeah,
a one off? I mean, we could
yeah,
always
I
have
totally agree.
hopium. All right, well, let's move on to another mainstream media outfit. Article by Mary Gilbert, who is a CNN meteorologist, that came out today. And this winter may be the final nail in the coffin for a
Ooh,
winter like no other.
ooh.
Mm-hmm.
That
All
sounds scary.
right. It does, but let's see what she says. So, an already fledgling winter is on borrowed time for much of the country as a dramatic pattern change next week and temperature forecasts into March signal what could be the final nail in a coffin of a winter like no other. Unseasonable warmth, missing snow, and disappearing ice have blurred the line between winter and summer for a large portion of the U.S. Nowhere has this been more the case than in the central and eastern U.S. Despite a brief but significant outbreak of Arctic air in mid January and a few chilly days last week, mild conditions have been the norm. The warmth is about to ratchet up a notch next week. An area stretching from Dallas north to Minneapolis and east to Philadelphia will soar to levels more akin to May or June at the end of February. And obviously, this is United States centric. More than
Mm.
200 daily temperature records could be tied or broken. That's the title of our show, Records. Could
Ooh.
be tied or broken as daytime highs climb and overnight lows fail to cool off. The significant warming trend kicks off Sunday in the central U.S. and it becomes more intense by Monday. A northward shift in the jet stream will allow very warm air to rush north from the Gulf of Mexico and reach the Canadian border. Monday will likely be the warmest day of the year so far for cities including St. Louis, Dallas, and Chicago. There will also notably be the case that will also be notably the case in typically cold parts of the central U.S. High temperatures there could be as much as 30 degrees above normal. So, this is what it's going to look like for all you meteorological
Wow.
buffs out there. Uh, Omaha, Nebraska is forecast to climb into the 70s. The end of February. Okay, guys. Not a. The city should normally top out around 40 degrees at the end of February and typically doesn't record its first 70-degree temperature until late March. Dallas may flirt with the 90-degree mark on Monday, a threshold
Really?
that, yeah, that isn't typically
Wow.
eclipsed until late April. Triple digit temperatures are possible for parts of Texas near the Mexico border. So if you're in Texas, guys, I feel for you because you're going to be hot. You're going to be
Boy,
hot. Mm-hmm.
already?
Already. Warmth reaches the East Coast by Wednesday. Philadelphia and New York could top out in the 60s. The Gulf Coast and Southeast will continue to sizzle. Jennifer, we already had that here. We had
Wow.
a 60-degree day, February. Yeah. With
Uh,
spring like warmth comes spring like weather. A storm forecast to develop near the Great Lakes late Tuesday could unload rain and thunderstorms on much of the east into Thursday. Oh boy. The class of
mm.
warm, moist air with the storm's potent cold front could set the stage in parts of the plains and Midwest for some severe thunderstorms late Tuesday. And that same threat could carry on east into parts of the Southeast and the Ohio Valley Wednesday. But a quick flip back to a more seasonable chill is likely in the north central U.S. Tuesday and Wednesday behind the cold front. But the brief burst of cold is likely a little too much, too late to resurrect a largely non existent winter, which officially ends in March. So this winter is on pace to become one of the warmest on record in dozens of U.S. cities, right? Uh
Ooh.
huh. And with the
That.
highest concentration in the Midwest and Northeast. Although, Jennifer, it was cold
Wow.
at your place. You had some real cold stuff, but you're going to talk about that.
Mhm.
All
Yeah.
right, yeah.
Yeah.
So winter 2023 to 24. So the warmest, you see the red dots, and my arrow's now working. So you can see the red dots in the cities. Like,
Ooh.
look, where I around my area,
Yeah.
and I would look every day, and it was always above average, above average. And then the top
Wow.
five here, winters warmest, and the top 10 warmest. Look at this. It's pretty. That's a lot. A
It
lot.
is. It really is.
Yeah. So warmth and winter weather do not get along. Winter has become the fastest warming season for nearly 75% of the U.S., and snowfall is declining around the globe as temperatures rise because of human caused climate chaos. Across the
Ugh.
Midwest and Great Lakes, snowfall is a few feet below what's normal by this point. Over a foot and a half of snow is still missing for the Minneapolis, St. Paul area, despite finally recording a few inches of snow earlier this month. Snowfall deficits are extreme downwind of the Great Lakes, where Syracuse and Erie, Pennsylvania, are each missing nearly 5 feet of snow.
Oh
And
my
let me
God,
tell
that's
you,
scary.
Jennifer, where I live, if we got 7 inches to 8 inches the whole winter,
Really.
yeah, it's
Wow.
insanity. I haven't had my driveway, which is very long, plowed in 3 years.
Oh my God.
Nope. Ice is almost nowhere to be found on the Great Lakes. Yeah, and I did a show on that. Completely it talked about that. Close to 40% of
Wow.
the Great Lakes are typically covered in ice by late February, but total ice coverage was near a record low, 6% Thursday. That means all of those ice fishermen, Jennifer, that always sit on Lake Erie, well, they
Mhm.
have not been out there. No.
Yeah, I bet they haven't.
No, they have not. There's more bad news for snow and ice chances. The warmth is sticking around. So
Oh, wow.
we've got some in 8 to 14 day temperature outlook. So we have a few probabilities of below, but we have a lot of above. You know, guess you guys didn't think you were going to get a weather report tonight.
Yeah.
Temperatures temperatures across the eastern two-thirds of the U.S. are forecast to remain above average through at least early March. The northern tier of the U.S. will remain unseasonably warm beyond then. Much of March, according to the Climate Prediction Center. And let me tell you something. When you are a gardener, like I am, and you know you typically where I am, the last freeze could be in May, but it's so weird. The plants, especially my orchard, the trees, they think that it's going to get warm, and then bam, like last year, we're going to get a freeze, and I'm going to be running out there to cover everything because I did, but last year I did sheets. Now I'm not. It's just crazy. It's very difficult. It's very hard to anticipate as a growing person. Very hard, Jen.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we got
Well,
that weather report.
let's run over to the Guardian and find out what's going on with the climate crisis there. February on course to break unprecedented number of heat records, rapid ocean warming, and unusually
Yep.
hot winter days recorded as human-made global heating combines with El Nino. February is on course to break a
Oops.
number of heat records, meteorologists say, as human made global heating and the natural El Nino climate pattern drive up temperatures on land and oceans around the world. Little over halfway into the shortest month of the year, the heating spike has become so pronounced that climate charts are entering new territory, particularly for sea surface temperatures that have
Yeah.
persisted and accelerated to the point where expert observers are struggling to explain how the change is happening. Quote, the planet is warming at an accelerated rate. We are seeing rapid temperature increases in the ocean, the climate's largest reservoir of heat, said Dr. Joel Hirschy, an associate head of marine systems modeling at the UK National Oceanography Centre. The amplitude by which previous sea surface temperature records were beaten in 2023 and now 2024 exceed expectations, though understanding why this is the subject of ongoing research. Humanity is on a trajectory to experience the hottest February in recorded history after a record January, December, November, October, September, August, July, June, and May,
Whew,
according
I'm
to
hot.
Berkeley Earth scientist Zeke Husfather.
Yeah.
He
He's
says that the rise in recent weeks was on course for 2C of warming above pre industrial levels. Though this should be brief, the brief peak impact of El Nino if it follows the path of previous years and starts to cool down in the months ahead.
mm,
So they say that the first 8 days of February 2024 have been the hottest
hmm
on record. Gee,
on
and
record,
that's the
guys. Record.
average
Since we,
on record.
maybe we're
Look
writing
at
on stone tablets. On
look at
record.
that red dot on
Yeah.
February 8th,
Yep.
2024.
Yep.
It's bigger than the
We
others.
better get ready.
That would normally be good news if a temperature lowering La Nina follows, but Husfather says the behavior of the climate has become more erratic and harder to forecast. Last year defied expectations so much that it's hard to have as much confidence in the approaches we used to make these predictions in the past, he said. I'd say February 2024 is an odds on favorite to beat the prior record set in 2016, but it's by no means a foregone conclusion at this point, as weather models suggest global temperatures will fall back down in the coming week. So while I think these extreme temperatures provide some evidence of acceleration at the rate of warming in recent years, as climate models expect there to be, if CO2 emissions do not fall, but aerosols do, it's not necessarily worse than we thought. I got lost on that one. That was like a little bit all over the place. Hope you all followed it. I'm not sure I did. The first half of February shocked weather watchers. Maximiliano Herrera, who blogs on extreme temperatures around the
Oh,
world,
yeah.
described the surge of thousands of meteorological station heat records as
Insane.
insane, total madness, and climate history rewritten. Holy moly, he's trying to express himself clearly. What astonished him was not just the number of heat records, but the extent by which many of them surpassed anything that went before. He said Morocco had seen 12 weather stations register over 33.9 C, which was not only a national record for the hottest winter day, but also more than 5°C above average for July. The northern Chinese city of Harbin had to close its winter ice festival because the temperatures crept above freezing for an unprecedented 3 days this month. In the past week, monitoring stations as far apart as South Africa, Saudi Arabia, Thailand, Indonesia, Kazakhstan, Colombia, Japan, North Korea, the Maldives, and Belize have registered monthly heat records. Half of this month, Hera said the 140 countries broke monthly heat records, which was similar to the final figures of the last six hottest months in 2023
Mm.
and more than 3 times any month before 2023. Ocean surface heat continues to astonish seasoned observers and raises the prospect of intense storms later in the year. The hurricane specialist Michael Lowry tweeted that the sea surface temperature across the Atlantic main development region, where most of the U.S. Category 3 or stronger hurricanes form, are as warm today in mid February as they typically are in the middle of July.
Incredible.
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 Whew. Global sea surface temperatures are in uncharted territory, according to she, who expects March to break last August's record by zero point 0.1 C to zero point 0.2 C.
A
March
lot.
is typically the hottest time of year for oceans because it's late summer in the southern hemisphere, which is home to most of the world's great seas. And here we can see the
Mm-hmm.
sea surface temperatures for 2024 exceed previous records by a huge margin.
Huge.
Look at February 13th. It's not even touching anything. And 2023, remember Sandy when we
Mm-hmm.
started reporting in that
Yes.
June
We
and it
were
just kept
upset about
going and
that.
going and going.
Yep.
Yeah. This is going to be much bigger.
Upset. It's an
Yeah.
upset. Mm-hmm.
And pretty amazing. The temperature spikes were expected, though their amplitude came as a surprise. Climatologists are now studying how to attribute weight to the different causes behind such anomalies.
Okay.
A strong El Nino has pushed temperatures higher, but Francesca Guglielmo, Copernicus scientist, noted that this was one of several heating factors that worked in combination. Every extra ton of carbon dioxide emitted by humanity increases pressure on the oceans. In some areas, the anomalous heat has also been intensified by weak trade winds, a lethargic jet stream, fluctuations in the North Atlantic circulation, and reductions in aerosol pollution, which exposes more of the ocean to the sun. Catherine Hayhoe, chief scientist for the Nature Conservancy, said the uncertainty about the interaction of the different factors was a reminder that we do not fully understand every aspect of how the complex Earth
Mm.
system is responding to unprecedented radiative forcing. This is happening at a much faster rate than ever documented in the past, she said. If anything, we are much more likely to underestimate the impact of those changes on human society than
Wow.
to overestimate
Catherine
them.
Hayhoe said that? Hmm.
Yep,
Well,
that is what she
she's
said.
usually
And,
very
they're all
conservative.
saying the same thing. They're all saying, we
Yeah.
don't know
I know, but
why.
these two that they used in this article are both conservative
They are. Catherine
scientists.
Hayhoe is very
Yeah.
conservative. El Nino is now weakening, which should ease temperatures in the equatorial Pacific from late spring or early summer. The North Atlantic remains warm at that time. This could herald intense hurricane activity. Here she warned.
Hmm.
Such risks will increase every year unless
Every
human
year.
carbon emissions are slashed and forest clearance reversed. Slowing, stopping, or reversing the warming, yeah,
Like that's going to happen.
right. Slowing, stopping, or reversing the warming trajectory we are on is akin to changing course of a supertanker. Results are not immediate, but the sooner we take action, the easier it will be for us to avoid hitting trouble. Well, I think we're
Okay.
going to hit
Yeah,
trouble.
and think about it. What about the waves that they cause? I mean,
I know.
the aftershock waves. Yeah. Well, listen, guys, what I wanted to do, and that was a very good article, and I'm telling you, Zach House Feather, what's his name? They're both
Father,
conservative, so they used the most conservative scientists in this article, and it was still frightening.
it was
So
very
yeah.
frightening.
All
You
right.
know, when the conservatives get all crazy like this, you have to kind
Yeah,
of.
conservative scientists. Now, what I was going to do is just show you, we're not going to read the rest of these, but what I want to show you is a little bit of around the world on what's happening. Now, Korea, these are just the headlines. Is it spring already? Korea sees unusually warm weather this week. That was the end of December. Guardian, weather tracker. Ethiopia hit by severe drought amid East African floods. And heat wave alert. South Africa grapples with severe heat wave and associated risks. That's just today. And that's look at it's a hot place down there.
Mm-mm-mm.
Australia suffers through record-breaking nights as a heat wave enters day 4. Parts of Western Australia have sweltered through their hottest night on record as temperatures dipped to just 27.5 degrees in Perth overnight. So it's all over. It is
Yeah,
everywhere, everywhere, everywhere. And Jennifer and
absolutely
I
is.
have these little, we're going to start with one and we're going to have some conversation with you guys to start this. And then we have a little break. We wanted
Okay.
to look at this meme that I don't remember where I got it. I can't attribute it because I forgot where I got it. I'm so sorry. It was just in my graphics and I collect a lot of stuff. But these are the potential impacts of climate change and what happens at the different degrees. And maybe we won't read them all, but Jennifer, do you have one or two that you want to pick out of the 1.5 and we can,
Okay.
all right?
Well, I think we can kind of go through them pretty
All
quickly.
right.
So, warm water, coral reef, that's going to affect coral reefs. Um, Significant impacts on vulnerable ecosystems and species. So that
Mhm.
includes polar regions, wetlands, and cloud forests.
Interesting.
Increase in coastal and river flooding, extreme weather events, spread of tropical infectious disease. That's one we haven't talked about much.
No, we haven't,
Heat,
but I've been seeing it.
yeah,
Yeah.
heat related morbidity and mortality. So that is at the lowest
Which we've hit.
1.5, which we are
And
in.
we're seeing all these things. I mean,
Yeah,
I don't know about you guys out in the chat, but I know that I've been seeing articles about especially infectious diseases happening because I follow virology and there are things happening that
yeah,
are, I think, heat related or climate related. So 2 to 3, now we have the Maldives, the Marshall Islands, Tuvalu, and many other small island nations have been abandoned. Now they are begging for help
they are.
during COP. They are begging for help. And I don't know if they're really going to get what they need. And what are they supposed to do when it does get this warm and sea level, which is rising? What are they going
Right.
to do? They're going to
Well, they're
go
going to lose
underwater.
their water. They're going to lose their water because as the sea level rises and the pressure increases around their little islands, the saltwater intrusion is going to hit
That's right.
their their fresh water.
And major loss of warm water coral reef ecosystem, which we're seeing now.
Hmm.
Major changes in the Arctic regions with a substantial loss of Arctic sea ice, and we're seeing that.
Hmm.
And supposedly we're not even to 2 or 3, right? Major increase in extreme weather events, and again, more spread of infectious disease, major increase in heat related morbidity and mortality, especially in the lower latitudes, which we see. And that's why in the United States, this whole border crisis is already affected by climate change because the people are leaving their countries because of these things. They can't
Hmm.
get work. Besides the geopolitical problems within their countries, significant impacts on vulnerable ecosystems, polar regions, wetlands, cloud forests, and mangroves, and significant increase in coastal and river flooding around the world, which we're seeing. Significant impacts on low latitude fisheries, decrease in crop yields and productivity, especially in the tropics. And these are all topics that, this
Hmm.
is like a checklist for our show, Jen. I
It
mean,
is.
really, things we will be able to cover. And now
Right.
we're getting to get on to the real heavy stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, 3 to 4 degrees C. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Major impacts on all ecosystems, including significant increase in species extinctions. That's 3 to 4 degrees. Loss of all warm water and cold water coral reef ecosystems, so coral reefs are toast. Arctic completely free of sea ice in summer. Arctic temperatures
No.
increase by 8 degrees C because remember, the Arctic is warming 4 times faster
Yes.
and it gets hotter there. Majority of mountain glaciers have disappeared, including all the ice on Kilimanjaro and Tanzania. Major increase in extreme weather events and spread of infectious disease. Major decrease in agriculture and fishery production and available water resources, so water becomes even more scarce. Food and water security become major political and humanitarian issues. Environmental forced mass migration increases, and ocean and terrestrial carbon sinks reduce, accelerating climate change. Oh, that sounds pretty grim, Sandy. What's happening at 4 to
Oh,
5
the
degrees?
worst, the worst. Catastrophic loss of ecosystems and species all around the world. Will we even be here, Jen, to see this?
I
Melting
don't
of
think
western Antarctic Greenland ice sheets um, accelerate, causes significant global sea level rises. Fifth of the world population affected by flooding and major coastal cities are abandoned. Environmental forced mass migration accelerates and there's an increase in conflicts over resources. This is happening now at 1.5 to 2. I'm
yeah.
sorry, but this is replicating what's happening now. In many countries, summer temperatures persistently stay above 40 C.
Wow.
Wow. Most heat waves with temperatures as high as 50 C have become common, right? Heat waves. More than 3.5 billion people are now water stressed. Wildfires have created major air pollution events and human health crises, and global food production plummets, leading to widespread malnutrition and starvation. So, listen, this is, when we talk about this, this is not some friggin' joke. This is nothing to laugh
Mm.
about. This is serious shit, and we are on our way. And even if we put in and cover every desert with goddamn solar panels and put up windmills everywhere and mine the rest of the uranium, lithium, cobalt, and all that shit, we are still on track. And what I have seen, the studies I read, you too, Jennifer. I mean,
Mm.
we're on track. And it's unfortunate. And I don't want to, I hate to scare people, but, they call us a doomer. Well, no, we just look at the information and take it in. Never do I say not do anything. You know how I am politically, guys. You know I'm an activist. This is just, it gets overwhelming.
Yeah. And for 6 degrees, it says, do not go there.
Yeah, do not even go. Yeah, let me put that back
Do
up
not
there.
go there.
Where did it say? Yeah, do not go there. I mean, there, I'll do the thunder again. Don't go there.
Yeah,
Boom.
don't go
Yeah. So now that we've thoroughly made you so excited and
there.
happy to be with us and really taken out our inner doomer, uh,
The
I
inner
I
doomer.
think we can let me shut this off. We can show our little intermission. For a
Oh yeah,
little
that'd be
quick
great.
little, we have a very quick little intermission. Then we're going to come back, and Jennifer's going to discuss her what she's come up with about the stratosphere and the polar vortex.
Okay.
So hang on, guys. We are going to go.
Baradelli bonus. So the Earth's water temperatures have been astonishingly warm this whole past year, and we're hitting new records as we speak right now. Where you see the red, that means water temperatures are above normal. Where you see the blue, that means water temperatures are below normal. And as you can see, as we spin the Earth, well, very few areas are in blue. Look at the main development region of the Atlantic. It's really, really warm right now. And you can see that warmth extends across the planet. And when you compare it to other years, take a look at where we are. We're at record territory once again. Water temperatures around the globe, 1.5 degrees Fahrenheit above normal. When you combine all the water around the world right now, even hotter than it was last year. And last year was off the charts. So let's give you an idea of what's happening here. The Earth is retaining a lot more heat than it used to because of the accumulation of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. Look at that X right there. That means we're retaining about 13 extra Hiroshima bombs worth of energy in the atmosphere per second, 400 million per year. That's the equivalent of 300 times the global electricity use per year. That's how much extra heat we're accumulating in the atmosphere and in our oceans. And because of that, there are consequences. We have bigger heat wave, we have bigger hurricanes, and also a lot more coral bleaching. And because of that, the National Weather Service today, NOAA, actually had to update their bleaching scale. They used to have 2 alert levels, and now they have 5 alert levels. That is your Baradelli bonus.
Now that's Florida. And Antonio, he interviewed Jeff quite a few
Oh
years
really?
ago. Yeah, we have it on the it's on the channel. I think I might
Oh,
maybe I'll put it up as a best of. And Jeff is amazing, and he's in Florida, and they haven't shut him up yet. They have
that's good.
not. They haven't shut him up yet. I
And
know.
he's in Florida.
Yeah,
Amazing.
yeah, it is because I mean Florida is really we're not going there tonight. We're not going to Florida tonight. All right. So, Jen, how would we like to move on and go on to your discussion of the stratosphere? Okay. You ready?
Hi there. Yeah,
Sudden
can you hear me?
stratosphere. Yep. Sudden stratospheric warming is closely associated with the polar vortex breakdown. Yeah.
All right. So we all were aware that the polar vortex dipped way, way south today, or I mean, back in January, and it was initiated by a sudden stratospheric warming event where the stratosphere heated an extreme amount, over 50 degrees C, compared over the course of a few days. And so when this warming happens, it's preceded by a slowing and then a reversal of the westerly winds in the stratospheric polar vortex. And the stratospheric sudden warming occurs about 6 times per decade in the northern hemisphere and about once every 20 to 30 years in the southern hemisphere. So it's really a northern hemisphere phenomenon. And they started they discovered this, Richard Schenerhag,
Hmm.
in 1951 using radio sonods, which I don't really know. They're something that take reliable temperature readings in the upper stratosphere. Anyway, they observed that when the stratosphere went under sudden warming and raised over 50 degrees C in just a few days, it would hit the troposphere and basically break apart the polar vortex. And the manifestation you would see down here is the polar vortex begins to kind of drip down like an ice cream cone. And that's why we're talking about
This
the polar vortex
ice
breakdown,
cream
kind of
cone.
like an ice cream cone. So,
Yep.
sudden stratospheric warming is closely associated with polar vortex breakdown. Meteorologists typically classify vortex breakdown into 3 categories: major,
Hmm.
minor, and final.
Yep.
No unambiguous standard definition has so far been adopted. I think that's enough of that. But the
Yeah.
point
Yeah.
is it's important to know that the stratosphere is connected to the troposphere, and when the stratosphere warms, there basically is a breaking apart of the polar vortex, and it kind of breaks into these balls, and one ball will typically go down the Rocky Mountains and another couple of balls in Siberia on the other side. But that's generally what happens. And
And
we
just,
experienced it again this
yep.
year.
Yep. And when we were talking this week, we got well, Jennifer had the visualization of the ice cream cone, and I'm like, I'm going to do it. I'll make it. and
Yeah,
and
yeah,
here's Jennifer's ice cream cone.
yeah. That's the ice cream cone. So the drips, we might be pushing the analogy a little far. It's true. But the drips are
uh,
basically parts of the jet stream that are kind of dripping down, and they usually go down mountain ranges in the northern hemisphere. AKA the Rocky Mountains is the continental divide, so that's why
yep.
it comes down here. But we've had a cold winter here in Colorado, being right next to the Rocky Mountains. The
Yeah.
Rocky Mountains were cold, so even though the Great Lakes area was really hot, it wasn't so
Yeah.
here around the Rocky Mountains.
Lovely weather whiplash.
Yeah, that's
Lovely.
right.
Well,
That's
we've
right.
got one more article that we are going to actually go over, and that's it because we're giving you a lot of
Yeah,
information. And this one it's actually a quick one, but it's another 2024 and about records. And Jed, do you
yeah.
want to do it or you want me to read this one?
Either way,
I'll take
I'm
up the
I'm
rear.
okay. You pick up the rear. I'll get it started. How's that?
Okay.
2024 begins with more record heat worldwide. On the heels of Earth's warmest year, January was the eighth month in a row in which global temperatures blew past previous records. The exceptional warmth that first enveloped the planet last summer is continuing into 2024. Last month clocked as the hottest January ever measured, the European Union Climate Monitor announced on Thursday. And here, this is looking
The
like
same
all
thing.
the other graphs that
Yep.
we've been seeing. This is the daily sea surface temperature, and you can see it's higher than it's ever been.
So the mainstream
It,
media is picking it up.
New York Times, baby. It was the hottest January on record for the oceans, too, according to the European Union Copernicus Climate Change Service. Sea surface temperatures were just slightly lower than in August 2023, the ocean's warmest month on the books. And sea surface temperatures kept on climbing the first few days of February, surpassing the daily record set in August. The oceans absorb the great majority of the extra heat the greenhouse gases in the atmosphere trap near Earth's surface, making them a reliable gauge on how much and how quickly we are warming the planet. Warmer oceans provide more fuel for hurricanes and atmospheric river storms, which we've been seeing all over the West Coast in the United States, can disrupt marine life. And Sandy, do you want to take it? January makes eight
All right.
months.
January makes 8 months in a row that average air temperatures of both across both continents and the seas have topped all prior records for the time of year. All in all, 2023 was Earth's hottest year in over a century and a half. Every time they say that, Jen, I feel like I need to do this. The
Oh,
principal driver of all this warmth is no mystery to scientists. Oh, these guys are not befuddled on this article. The burning of fossil the burning of fossil fuels, deforestation and other human activities have driven the mercury steadily upward for more than a century. The current El Nino weather cycle is also allowing more ocean heat to be released into the atmosphere. Yet, precisely why Earth has been this hot for this long in recent months remains a matter of some debate among researchers who are waiting for more data to come in to see whether other less predictable and perhaps less understood factors might also be at work around the margins. Rapid reductions in greenhouse gas emissions are the only way to stop global temperatures increasing. Samantha Burgess, Copernicus's deputy director, said in a statement. According to Copernicus's data, temperatures in January were well above average in eastern Canada, northwestern Africa, Middle East, and Central Asia, though much of the United States was colder than usual. Parts of South America were warmer than normal and dry, contributing to the recent forest fires that devastated Chile. Horrible, horrible, Jennifer, what happened in Chile. The intensity of recent underwater heat waves prompted the NOAA in December to add 3 new levels to its system of ocean heat alerts for indicating where the corals might be bleaching or dying. An El Nino pattern, like the one currently observed in the Pacific, is associated with warmer years for the planet, as well as a swath of effects on rainfall and temperatures in specific regions. But as humans heat up the planet, the effects that forecasters could once confidently expect El Nino to have on local temperatures are no longer so predictable, said Michelle Leroux, an NOAA scientist who studies El Nino and its opposite phase, La Nina. For regions that previously tended to have below average temperatures during El Nino, you almost never see that anymore, Miss Leroux said. You see something that's more near average or even still above average.
Wow.
So, it might have seemed like we were a little redundant on what we were presenting tonight, but there's a reason for that. And the reason for that is because it drills into people to learn, and that we're showing you. I mean, we really used mainstream media tonight. Even Ars Technica is maybe it's a not it's a small outlet, but it is mainstream for the most part. New York Times, CNN, people are picking up this, and and a lot more people understand there's stuff going on, right?
Yeah, definitely.
We got a lot of
Yeah, and
comments.
and
Ooh.
everybody is kind of befuddled, stunned, all this stuff, and the
I,
temperature is just it's not cutting along the same track. It's
I have it.
heading a
Obsolete
brand new
optics.
track. Uh,
Mystified, baffled,
mystified.
puzzled.
There
I
we
know
go.
you love reading this, Jennifer.
Oh yeah, scientists are mystified, baffled, puzzled, stumped, curious,
Ah,
perplexed, alarmed, bewildered, astonished, etc. And then it went on and on. And yes, well, I'm not as surprised because we've been expecting it, but it's still very sobering, that this is happening. And it's like, yeah, we
mm-hmm.
knew it was exponential. We knew that yesterday is not like, I mean, tomorrow is not like yesterday, and things are breaking away. And now we see it. Things are breaking away. So we'll have to see how it all kind of pans out.
Hi, Karen.
You know?
It's rather fraudulent that civilization is never called out as a smoking gun. Oh, well, not in mainstream media. Oh, God forbid.
Yeah. Oh,
God
yeah.
forbid. I mean, Bill
Or
Gates reads the New
population.
York
They never
Times.
mentioned
Oh,
population
of
in the
course
same
not.
breath.
Of course not.
Yeah.
Well, it's very nice to have you here, Karen, with us. It's wonderful, actually. I have a few other comments that I think we should put up, and I will let me say once again to Nadia, thank you for the $10 super
Oh,
chat. She is so generous. Oh my
so
gosh.
sweet.
My thought is that James Hansen will be vindicated versus Michael Mann and the IPCC by the accelerated greenhouse effect in 2024. Hopefully, we can put the gigafamines or
Giga.
gigafamines, sorry,
Giga.
off another year though. I'm thinking gigantic famines,
Uh-huh.
gigafamines, another year. Thank you, Nadia. It is truly something, and oh, here's one. Hey, Kai. Hey, folks, going from a depressing political stream to a depressing environmental one.
Yeah,
Okay, wait, he
everything's
gets he
pretty
gets
depressing
he
right
gets the
now.
applause, right? All right, I'll tell you
Yeah.
what. We have to figure out the environmental coffee house flush of the day. Jennifer, have you got something?
Um,
Do you have something that really stood out to give us what we want to
yeah, I
flush?
want to flush away the high ocean temperatures. That would be nice.
Okay, let's flush them away. Well, I I played the fart instead of the fart. Goodbye, high ocean temperatures.
Yeah.
And there you go. We got both of
Goodbye.
them. We got the fart of the day and the flush of the day. Sorry.
Okay.
Inadvertently. Yeah, inadvertently. We have to bring a little humor in because, remember years ago, Jennifer, when the comments were coming in that we were like laughing during our shows or smiling, whatever. Remember that? And we said,
Yes.
F you. This is serious shit. And if we don't bring levity and humor, and I just did a show on humor, what do we have?
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
do we have? And that's why
Well, I would say today's show was especially depressing because it's just being pounded in again and again. And I really
yep.
didn't feel like making fun of it or laughing at any of it or making fun of
No,
anybody. I'm just like, holy shit, this is bad,
this
you
is.
know?
Sam's with us. Sam Carana. Hi, all. I fear that ocean heat may
Hi.
cause the seafloor methane tipping point to be crossed soon.
Yeah, there you go.
Well,
There
we'll
you
be
go.
keeping you apprised of that. We will definitely come back with because methane is now very newsworthy. It's very
It
newsworthy.
is.
Hi, Jake. We should address outdoor sports enthusiastic. Like, grab a bunch of ice fishermen and inform them that the Republicans have destroyed their hobby. I'll leave it. Jake is a political commentator. He's on Left Past 10 with me.
Oh,
And and
that's it.
and segue to after this show, if you guys are interested, the Letter Hack does his readings on Friday night. That is such a compliment to us. Takes you away with his novellas. It takes you away from the
Oh,
doomosphere, and it takes you to a different place. So the Letter Hack, the channel that I am on Wednesday nights, and yes. So Keith, let's see. We need carbon dividends. Tax the oil. Yeah. Tax the oil. And who else? Yeah. Hello, Chris. The Aging Hippies
be-
Conspiracy Channel, formerly Vegematic. I used to be disgusted. Now I try to be amused. Sometimes you have to be amused by the ludicrous,
yeah.
insane things
It's
going
such
on.
a shit show. It's just amazing.
Oh, yeah, Keith. Tax the oil and we get the money. Yeah. Well, first of all, we need to get rid of the billionaire class completely. We need a revolution. So you can call me a doomer, but I still believe in revolution and it ain't hopium to me. So at that, and of course, I'd be hobbling to the revolution probably with a cane, but whatever.
That's
All right.
right.
So everybody good? If you're all thinking about it, go on over to the Letter Hack. Jen, would you like to give us the parting
Oh,
good
golly, I
evening?
don't even know what I can say more than what we've said, but the thing is the trend is the most important thing, and we see the trend is cutting a whole new path, and so we can only expect tomorrow to be more exponential. It would be great if we see that this whole thing is going to kind of settle down, but I really don't think it's going to. So hang on, it's going to be a bumpy ride.
Yeah. And Tommy has said the native people of North and South America have already experienced an apocalypse. It's so
Mm.
sad, right? Yeah, and Scott says no revolution, it's hopium. The billionaires are great at dividing us. Yeah, but not in this chat. Not in this chat. Hey, hello, Jordan. The data is in. It's time to rock the hospice. Love the president. Fuck the machine. Perfect way to end.
Absolutely. Very
Fuck
good.
the machine. Let's rock this hospice. That's what Michael Dowd would say, right? Post doom, no gloom. We try no matter what. You know, I guess that's the way we can end. And we love you guys. We really love you guys.
Oh,
Oh,
it's good to see
somebody,
you all
wait, I
tonight.
can't end because
Because
we got another. We need to look after each other as
the
things go
conspiracy channel.
downhill. Yes, we need to look after each other as things go downhill. And we might have a virtual community here, but we sure should have a good community here.
We do.
And if it's
We do.
possible, we try to replicate it where we live. I got a little thing going on here. Just a little thing. Just a little thing.
Thank you, Sandy. Thank you for bringing us
Yep.
together.
And it was good to see. I just want to give a couple of shout outs. Connor Arayo and Bella and Jean. Thank you, Kim, for moderating, and Jean and Scott for being here, and astrologer, climate witness Keith Hayes. Thank you, thank you. Tommyist and Brandy, Devon, it's great to see you. Trev, it's wonderful. Uh, he says the answer small energy production. We'll have to see how that shakes out. Definitely. Okay, so we will see you guys on the flip side. And I am doing an interview with Lyle Lewis tomorrow, who wrote The
Good.
Race to Extinction. And this is going to be good. I'm not sure when I'm going to put it on. I'd love to be able to run it Sunday. We shall see.
Yeah,
We shall see.
absolutely.
Okay. So I love you, Jen. Woo, a little bit loud. I love you, Jennifer. All right,
Love
let's.
you too.
We love you guys very much.